Yeah,
A new brain
that's
coming, a newborn being born after I die has nothing to do with me dying.
I know it's not a continuation of you. It's just that there will be experience after this experience ends.
someone
But I won't
else's
know about it.
experience. Yeah. Like we all agree that some of us will die and then other people will be born. We all agree that there are consciousness that exist today and won't exist soon, and that new other we just don't see why there's a why there needs to be a connection. There's no like that doesn't make any sense to say that someone else like gaining consciousness is a continuation of anything, has any connection whatsoever. It's like you talked about the consciousness is what a brain is doing. My brain is being for us today. Yeah, I would agree with that. The way that the tides are the result of all the water molecules and the moon working together. The tide is an emergent property of all of these things. No one water molecule has tide, right? No one neuron is me. It's the emergent property of all of the electrochemical activity of my entire brain, all acting together, is me. If you destroy any one part of that, you would destroy a part of me. You know, you can take out my frontal lobe and go study like Phineas Gage, right? If you take out a part of my brain, my personality would change. My experience would change. Does that mean that a part of me is now elsewhere doing something and it's just waiting for the rest of me? If someone dies of dementia or with dementia, not of, with dementia, does that mean that little by little, just parts of them became another thing somewhere until it all formed together? What is any of that? I don't like. We all agree with your premise. It's the where you're going with it that makes no sense at all. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, I agree with everything you just said too. The reason it matters is because instead of anticipating nothingness after death, we should anticipate that death would be followed by yet more consciousness, except for in different
for who?
context.
For whom? Who would experience the consciousness after you die? Who would experience consciousness after you die?
Consciousness is a product of the brain. The self is an illusion. There is really.
I'm sorry. I really want to answer that question. Yeah. Who is going to experience consciousness after you die?
Other sentient.
So not you. Not you.
No.
So why would you expect more consciousness if you're not going to experience more consciousness? How does that make any sense? Why would you expect anything else but nothing?
I can't experience my own lack of existence. Only experience is experienced.
Precisely. So why would you expect anything but that? You will stop experiencing things. You will not even know you've stopped experiencing things because you're not experiencing things. You will stop. The same way you were before you were born. Nobody else was living for you then. You're not going to experience another consciousness. Nothing. It's just like I don't get where you're seeing a connection with you and anything else besides you.
My point is what you keep calling you. A you is a self, and a self is something that a brain does, just like
I agree. Yeah,
a brain does. Yeah. So, okay, let me try it. So imagine that there's just the entire universe is completely empty, devoid of all consciousness, and then one single conscious organism comes to exist, and that's the only consciousness that's occurring, right? And so that's the only experience there is. And we'll just say that's you, Forrest or Jim, whoever.
Why not?
I feel we've just been down this road, and we're still not getting it, either because you don't understand it well enough to explain it to us, which is possible, or we're just not seeing where you're, because we're just not seeing where you're going with it. It makes no sense to talk about any experience after we're dead. We're dead. And yes, other people will still be alive.
Well, it means that the future after I'm dead matters. Like it matters because my effect on the future of those future consciousnesses, the things that I do in my life now, can affect those future.
That's a completely separate. That's a completely separate thing, though.
Yeah,
if I go and build a house, then someday after I'm dead, someone might live in that house. That has nothing to do with my consciousness after I die. It's my consciousness alive today that did a thing that has repercussions. You're just explaining the concept of a legacy or consequences for your actions. That's not a controversial idea. It's not anything mystical or magical.
Right.
But those,
I'm sorry, I don't get why that matters at all. I'm sorry.
Those future consciousnesses are the experiences that will be what's occurring at that point in time.
Yeah, we agree. We just don't see what the connection is.
But they're not you.
Right, because every time you go down this path, it sounds like you're talking about some form of reincarnation, and yet you say you're not talking about that. And this is where we're getting confused, right? Because we don't understand what the connection is then.
Some people do actually call generic subjective continuity. Some people do call it secular reincarnation or rebirth.
It makes about as much sense as religious reincarnation.
Yeah, it really does.
I'm sorry, man. You're not taking us anywhere interesting here.
And we've been over the same ground at least twice now. So why don't you think about it, find a better way to explain it, and give us a call back.
Okay. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks for your time, Theodore.
Bye.
Take care.